people, how can I help? How can I help? And God said, hey, Greg's ready for a promotion. Move me up. So then I started going to a men's prayer meeting that was more like an argument meeting, but that's what they called it. You don't want to let young believers get something going. It's not a good idea. Anyway, but I was how can I help? How can I help? Well, can you bring so-and-so to the meeting? Yep, I can do that. Swing by their house, pick them up. And so then I'm continuing to ask, how can I help? So I kept saying, how can I help? And God said, hey, Greg's ready for a promotion. And so 6 months into my life of Christ, I'm sitting on a committee on how to raise $500,000 so we can buy a church building. And I'm thinking, what am I doing here? Not that I don't have any experience with money and all that. That wasn't it. I'm a brand new Christian. I'm looking around the table, and these people have been saved for 20, 30, 50 years. I don't know how long. They're all older guys. And I'm the one guy I was the only guy in the room in my 20s. I'm thinking, what am I doing here? Because God heard me say, how can I help? I'm looking at the pastor. The pastor pastors a church of 4,000 people in Phoenix. And then we were over in Mesa, and our church had about, 600 or 700 people, maybe more than that, I don't know, at that time. And we're trying to figure out how to keep going, and this is how we're going to promote ourselves in the community. And I'm thinking, what am I doing here? And as a matter of fact, when the pastor asked me, what's your experience? I said, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I was like, but whatever way I can help, I'll help. How do you get promoted? How can I help? Amen. And God's been promoting me ever since. You ready for a promotion? What do you say? Okay. So, first of all, through service, and then secondly, by understanding submission and authority. I'm not going to finish this message either. Okay. Secondly, by understanding submission and authority. Submission and authority. Yes, authority flows from heaven through God, or from God, I should say it that way, right? From God to Jesus, through the Holy Ghost, through your pastor, through the church leaders, through workers in the church, and then finally to those of us that are learning how to help. Or we could say new believers, because it should be the same thing. It should be the same thing. Right? So, but if we don't understand, see, we hear this, oh, yeah, oh, I can be a help, I can just, whatever. And then somebody tells you to do something, you go, I don't like that. You don't understand submission and authority then. You know what submit means? That means somebody asks you to do something you don't want to do. Like, when I first said, how can I help? And I said, you can help us by ushering, but you got to wear a tie. I did not like that. Why didn't you like it? I don't know, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it. So what did I do? I submitted to their request and I put on a tie. Why? Because I was more interested in helping than having my way. Uh-oh. Now I'm stepping on toes. You mean I don't get to have my way? No. Sometimes maybe, but no. Okay? And I did say maybe. So submission and authority. See, because until we submit, and you're going to find scripture for this. I got to hurry up. I'm spending too much time on this. Until we understand authority, submission and authority, we're not going to get anywhere. So we need to develop our relationship so we can meet the need. So God knows the need because He cares. Let's go over to Matthew chapter 6. How much time have I got? Whoo-wee. I better hurry. Matthew chapter 6. Is this helping you all? I was in a big church one day, and the pastor said something similar to what I just said. And And the response was, a couple of people, and he goes, thank you for those 2 amens and that one hallelujah. 2,000 people in the room. So I'm not the only one that does that kind of stuff, right? Okay, Matthew chapter 6, verse 5 says this, and when you pray, this is Jesus talking. We know because it's red writing. See my Bible, red writing. That's Jesus. Okay. And when you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites. People say, I don't want to go to church because they're hypocrites. You're already among them. According to Jesus, right? You're out where they're thick. At least they thin out somewhat when you get to church. They do. Okay, y'all look at me like, really? Yes. Do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the corners of the street, that they may be seen of men. Assuredly I say to you, they have their reward. What is their reward? They were seen. They were seen. If you notice, these guys have no love in them. These people that want, these hypocrites, they want to pray and they want to show off, okay? Verse 6, but you, when you pray, go into your room, and when you have shut your door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. So in other words, you're going, you know what? I see my brother Tony over there. He's having a hard time with something, Lord. And maybe you know what it is, and maybe you don't. It don't make any difference. You go in and you go into your prayer closet, and you say, Lord, here's Tony. I'm bringing him to you. I'm praying for my brother. Help him out whatever way it is. If you know what way it is, then you can send that request to the Lord. Lord, I don't know what's going on. You just tell he's having a hard time. Lord, whatever that is, send help to him. And then God will reward who openly? The guy praying. Now, Tony gets something too, all right, but we get it, okay? Why? Because why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you go pray for Tony? If you don't know Tony, you don't know nothing about Tony, are you going to go pray for him? Nope. Because you don't pay no attention to him. Relationship. Remember we're talking about relationship? You have no relationship with Tony, you're not going to pray for Tony. He doesn't even cross your mind. Who's Tony? You know, the bald guy at church? Oh yeah. Okay? Is that okay? I didn't mean to offend you if I did. Okay. All right. So you get help and he gets help, right? Because of what's in action? Relationship. There's no love if there's no relationship, there's no love. Right? Ooh. I don't know why I need to say this, but I really feel like I need to say this. You can pay for love, but it's cheap and dirty. You get that? Okay. Verse 7. And when you pray, do not use vain repetitions as the heathens do, or chanting, for they think they will be heard for their many words. And the reference in my Bible is 1 Kings 18, where Elijah and the prophets of Baal are having their showdown, and they're chanting, and they're cutting themselves, and blood's flying around, and Elijah's teasing them, hey, maybe he's asleep, get a little louder, cut yourself some more, see what, maybe he's over having a vacation or something, Chanting. There's no love in chanting. Humming. That's what it sounds like to me. Verse 8. Therefore do not be like them, for your Father knows the things that you have need of before you ask Him. Why does He know? Relationship. See, you're not going to pray for Tony if you don't have a relationship, because you don't know nothing about him. But God, who knows everything about everyone, already has a relationship with us. What we do when we go and pray is we renew and restore our relationship with Him. Even if we're praying for Tony, He's relating to us. He likes the fact that we are loving Tony, that we're extending our relationship from our own selves over to Tony and loving, so He in turn loves on us and rewards us. Okay? Relationship. Say, I'm in a relationship. You know, we've heard this saying, people don't care about what you know until they know that you care. Another way to say it was like this. If you don't love anybody around you, they don't love you either. Hello? No love, no relationship. No love, no relationship. You know what the main reason why people don't pray? You know, you've talked to people, I mean, unchurched people, or even people that maybe have made at least a commitment to the Lord, but they don't pray. And you ask them, how come you don't pray? Because, you pray and say, would you like to pray? And they go, oh, no, I don't do that. Right? Why? They have no relationship. You don't have any trouble talking to somebody you have a relationship with, right? Prayer is just talking to God. So, I don't have any problem. As a matter of fact, Margie thinks my relationship is a little too good because she says I talk too much to her. Okay? But when you have a relationship, you don't have any trouble talking. Okay? So these folks that don't have a relationship with God, why don't they have a relationship with God? Even if they've maybe made a commitment to Jesus at one time in their life, but that's about as far as the relationship ever got. They got fire insurance. You know what I mean by that? They're going to miss hell. Barely. Barely. Okay, actually, maybe that's not the best way to, because insurance doesn't kick in until something bad happens. Right? So anyway, but they don't have a relationship. Why don't they have a relationship? They don't think He cares. If I have a relationship with my wife, I have a relationship with my wife, and because of our relationship, especially like when we were pastoring before, we had a lot of younger couples in there, and they would watch us, even though we weren't trying to do anything, because we like to pet each other, and don't look at me like that. We like to pet each other, and and do things that husband and wives ought to do with each other. Don't get too carried away in public, but you understand what I'm saying. And they would observe that, and occasionally they'd come up to her or me, or maybe both of us, and they'd say, it really encourages us because you guys just love each other so much. They don't know we had a fight 5 minutes ago. I'm just kidding. Maybe we did, but we're not doing it now, right? Why? Because we have a relationship. You get over it fast. Isn't that right? The better relationship, the faster you get over whatever it was. And have you ever noticed how many times it's just some stupid thing that wasn't worth fighting about anyway? Right? So relationship is the reason why people don't pray. They don't pray because they don't think God cares, because they've heard teaching that God is not personal. Sometimes they hear it from preachers, sometimes they hear it from other Christians, but mostly they have this, it's more out of experience of that, they pray once, they didn't get an answer that they know of. Pray once and didn't get an answer. Well, this thing don't work. Well, if you gave up on everything that fast, you wouldn't have nothing. See? Janice and I were talking about before church, we were talking about back, when we were young and the cars that we had to drive. Put water in the radiator before you leave, put water in the radiator when you get there, and stuff like that. Remember those days? Come on, start, baby. That kind of stuff. And younger people can't even relate to that. What if back in those days when things didn't always start when you wanted them to? If you got back when I was growing up, if you got in a vehicle and you turned the key and nothing happened, you didn't go, oh, it ain't no good, and walk away. You'd get out, you'd open the hood and go, okay, let's see, is something going on with the battery, or the fuses, whatever. You'd try to get the thing going. Right? Okay, but we're talking about relationship. You get relationship going by, with the guy that with the person that says, I don't do that. You know, they've made a relationship with the Lord somewhere in the past, and they say, I don't pray. You know, I don't pray. And they're kind of embarrassed about it. You say that this is how you help them. I'll pray with you. Come on. You say this. I'll do most of the praying, but you got to do a little bit. Help them out. Develop the relationship. Okay, I got to keep going. Let's go. 1 Peter, chapter 5. I got to get through this. I got to get through this. 1 Peter, chapter 5. You know, the answer to does God care is, of course, He died for us. Right? I mean, that's the ultimate right there. You don't go that far. Chapter 5, verse 1. The elders who are among you I exhort, I who am a fellow elder and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, and also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed. So what Peter is saying is, I'm one of the first ones. I was part of the ministry of Jesus. I saw Him suffer and die. And I am now also a partaker of the outpouring that He put upon the earth called the church. Okay? The glory that will be revealed. Because whenever the presence of God shows up, the glory of God is there. Now, you may not understand it or be completely aware of it, but it's there. Okay? Because God cannot show up without His glory. That would be like shedding your skin. Okay? Shepherd the flock of God which is among you, serving as overseers, not by compulsion, but willingly, not for dishonest gain, but eagerly. I'm excited about showing up for church. 6 o'clock in the morning. Go back to sleep. No. I'm ready. Woo! Something's going to happen. We're going to go down and find out. Amen? But eagerly, nor as being lords over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock. My wife and I, we are very aware of what we do. And when we do things, sometimes we don't say anything, but we do things. We don't do it just to be an example. We do it because this is what we ought to be doing. But certain things that we do, like, for example, let me give you one example. Like when we receive the offering, you notice that I always have the usher come to me first. Because you lead by example. There's no point in me telling you to give if I don't do it. There's no point in me telling you to tithe if I don't do it. Amen? It says, lead by example to the flock. Well, I do. As much as I know how, as much as I can. Verse 4. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that does not fade away. So what? I got a crown coming. Okay? So do you. It's not the same as mine, but you got one. If you don't just sit there. Not everybody gets a crown. If you have one reserved, that doesn't mean you're going to get it. Are you listening? Well, that perked you all up. You're all looking at me now. What do you mean I might not get one? Well, if all you do is come to church and sit there and don't do nothing, you're not going to get it, because the crown is related to whatever purpose Jesus has for you. If you don't fulfill the purpose, you don't get the crown. That's not to discourage you. That's to make you go, I better find out what it is. Amen? Okay. Likewise, you younger people, submit yourselves to your elders. That sound familiar? Submit yourself to your elders. Now, this isn't younger people like in age. This is younger people in the Lord. See, you can come to know the Lord at 70 years old. You're a baby Christian. Right? And let me say this also, because growth in the Lord is not natural, but it is spiritually progressive, meaning that if we progress spiritually, we grow spiritually. So you can maintain your spiritual babyhood your whole life if you want to. That's not a good thing to do, but you can. Okay? How do you do that? Just keep sucking on your spiritual bottle. Likewise, you younger, submit yourselves to your elders. What does that mean? That means that 25-year-old that's got the Bible all stuffed in and through him, and he comes up to you and starts laying the word of the Lord on you, and you're thinking, I'm 70 years old, or 60 years old, or 50 years old, or 40 years old, and he's only 25. I don't need to listen to you, kid. Yes, you do. You know, when I started pastoring the first time, I was 34 years old. And the reason why I can remember that is because people kept walking up to me and saying, "How old are you?" You know, because we had a good mixture of people, but that means about at least probably 60% of the people were older than me in the church. Because I'm, 34, that's on the young side, right? So people kept walking to me, "How old are you?" 34. "Ooh, and you're pastoring the church?" "Yes." I don't intimidate very easy. "Yes, I am." "Huh. Wow. Huh." They kind of like that, and I go, "Well, listen, if they give me the time, I'd say, listen, I had 2 years of Bible school. They stuffed 5 years of learning into you in 2 years. And that 5 years of learning that they stuffed into me is what a lot of Christians never get in their whole life. So I think I got something to say to you." Amen. And they'd say, "Well, you're only 34. You can't tell me." Yes, I can. One time, there was a bunch of strife going on in the church, and I'd had it up to here. It's okay to get angry every once in a while. If people are misbehaving and they need to be straightened out, you don't need to be happy about it. Okay? So one Sunday morning, they get past the worship time and all that, and they think, somebody going to prophesy or something. Nope. Pastor gets up and says this. I walk up to the pulpit, and I did this. I'm going to lose my place if I do. And they'll look up at me, and I said, "Listen here." I said, "I'm the pastor of this church. Whatever we do in this church has to do with me. Nothing goes on in here if I don't want it to go on. If it starts to go on and I don't care for it, I'm going to stop it. Because I'm the pastor. And I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you like whatever your pet project is. Because if it doesn't fit with what we're doing here, it doesn't fit with me, and it's not going to happen. And if you all don't like that, there's a church down the road. You can get yourself up and go down there and try to push yourself off on them because you're not doing it to me. You understand me?" And I never got so many healthy handshakes after church in my life. "Thank you, Pastor. That was so good." Like I wasn't talking to them or something. I was talking to you. Okay. "Likewise, you younger, submit yourself to the others. Yes, all of you be submissive to one another and be clothed with humility." Ooh. To one another, he doesn't know more than me. Bible says, "Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings thou hast perfected praise." That means even a baby Christian can say something you need. But you ain't going to hear it if you're being snotty, prideful. "For God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time." In other words, God's trying to promote us all the time, right? How do we get promotion? "How can I help?" I thought I needed to throw this in there. And once I say, "You can help by doing," you don't say no. Well, no, I wasn't really looking for... Now, if you genuinely can't do it, then, like if somebody asks you to sing and you'd scare off the coyotes, then fine. Say no, I just can't do that. That's okay. All right? But if there's any possibility you can, say okay. All right? Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. How do you humble yourself under the mighty hand of God? He was just talking about submitting. No, that ain't God. Yes, it is. He started with the pastor, with the elders. Actually, the elders are like bishops. Bishops are guys that oversee more than one church. Okay? And then he moved down to the other elders, which are the local pastors. Then the leadership. Are we getting this? And then he says, and while you're at it, just submit to everyone around you. Oh, Lord. Why would I want to do that? Well, I'll tell you what, you can't do it if you don't have a relationship. Because you think you know better. Uh-oh. Ooh, now you done quit preaching and start meddling. It's okay. It's good for you. Humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. So God's looking to promote us, right? That he may exalt you in due time. What's due time? When you served long enough and he goes, okay, you're ready for a promotion. You didn't know taking care of the kids is a promotion, huh? You did know that. Woo! Hallelujah. All right. I like that. You came in just in time. Under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care on him, for he cares for you. You don't understand how God cares for you unless you care about people around you. Yes, I do. No, you don't. It's this way first. I know a lot of people say it's this way and then this way. No, it's this way and then this way. Not this way, this way. Got that? Okay. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Who's he going to devour? People that say, I don't want help. Or, you can't tell me. Right? This is all the same context. Seeking whom he may devour. It doesn't say he will devour, it says he may. So what does he have to do? He has to get your permission. How do you give him permission? You say, I will not. Somebody asks you to do something? No. Somebody comes up and says, hey, the pastor asked me to ask you. No. The devil goes, ooh, lunch. Right? Resist him steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same sufferings are experienced by your brotherhood in the world. So we're all in this together. Are we getting this? Because he cares, he gave us the church. Are we picking up on this now? Because he cares, he gave us the church. This is what God wants us to do. I know this is going to challenge some of you. This is what God wants you to do. Now, if a church gets big enough, you can't know everybody. There's just too many people. But you should know people in the church. There ought to be something going on. And I don't mean a clique, 5 or 6 people, and we all love each other like dogs. You know what dogs are like. They like each other. They don't like nobody else. Right? They'll play and everything and let you pet them and everything. As soon as somebody comes and knocks on the door, woo! Right? Okay. We don't want to be like that. He gave us the church so we'll understand relationship. Now let me explain this thing. Okay? Because we go like, this is what you usually see people do when they teach about this. They go like this. They go like this, and then like this, right? And if you left it at that, it would be true. But that ain't the end. See, because salvation has nothing to do with you. So this don't count. You got that? Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have nothing to do with you. Salvation, I said yes. You wouldn't have said yes if it wasn't for him. Right? You would have never given your life to Jesus if he hadn't died for you first. It has nothing to do with you. No, you're not that smart. Somebody cared for you, or you wouldn't be here. Right? Somebody cared. Somebody cared enough to share the Jesus that came here. That didn't have nothing to do with us. We weren't doing anything to deserve that. Right? Was any of you doing something to deserve Jesus coming here? Nope. None of us. Well, I'm pretty good. You ain't that good. Let's tell the truth. Come on. Okay? So, the relationship is the same as the relationship that Jesus had. We get saved because God reached down into us. That's none of our doing. And then we develop in him the same way that Jesus did. We allow him to open our arms so that we can embrace everyone around us. And as long as we're like this, we don't grow. See, when you say, how can I help? What are you doing? How can I help? Isn't there a cross somewhere behind there? Yep. Because it ain't all going to be fun and roses. Anytime you have to have a relationship with somebody, not all of it's good. Even if you do love them. You know, if you're married for a while, you figure this one out, you know, relatively quickly. That the person that you love the most is also the one that can get under your skin the fastest. Isn't that right? Why? Because they know you. They know what to do to make you mad. See? Okay, so we have to learn to do this, and then God does this. Until we do this, he has no responsibility to show us more about him. Well, I want to know. Well, then help. You know, I said I lead by example. You know, it's very rare that I show up to church by myself in my vehicle. I'm not picking on you. I'm just showing you, okay? It's very rare that I show up to church by myself in my vehicle. Isn't that true? On Sunday mornings, I almost always bring Tony. Unless he's got something going on, I bring Tony. Well, he's already saved. I get him here. See? And then on Thursday nights, I bring Rowena. Some of you don't know who she is, maybe. Little old lady, very sweet, real powerful with God. I want her here. I don't bring her here because I want her here, though. I bring her here because she asked me to. She called me out and said, Pastor, could you take me to church? I don't like driving at night. Sure. Because we never get out of, can I help? This is the best position to be in. How can I help? See, because God looked down on the earth and he said, they need help. Didn't sound funny that time, did it? They need help. So let me finish. First, we need to respond to him. That means we either need to give our lives to him. You all have already done that. Or maybe we need to make a commitment to him that we haven't made. Now, that doesn't mean you know about something. You know what a commitment is? That's when you say, I'll do it. I'll do it. Secondly, we need to submit to him. How do we submit to him? Y'all remember that? When he tells me something. No. It's like when I tell you something, or Margie tells you something, or Pastor Kenny tells you something, or Fred, if he needs help doing whatever he's doing, he comes over to you and says, hey, I need you to help me with this. You go, sure. See? Thirdly, serve him. What does it mean to serve him? That means you put yourself aside and you go, you know what? Come here, Eddie, please. You say, Eddie, I don't know you very well, but I've been seeing you coming to church and everything, and I'd like to get to know a little better. Would that be all right with you? And, be kind of like friends and all that?
Yes, sir.
Would that be cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. Let's go have lunch.
All right.
Got that? So, see, if I said this, if I said, hey, Eddie, been seeing you in church, maybe I'll come over and see you sometime. What did I do? Nothing. Right? Sometimes that don't happen. Right? Is there a commitment there? No. If I say, Eddie, let's go have lunch, I just made a commitment. Right? Okay. Thank you, brother. So, somebody asked me not too long ago, how do you make a church grow? I said, well, the first thing you got to do is you got to get your members to like each other. What? First thing you do is you got to get your members to like each other. If they don't like each other, you ain't going to grow. And they won't like each other if they don't know each other. They can't. It's like when somebody tells you about a relative that passed away and you go, oh, well, you have, somebody that you know. You have sympathy towards them, but not really towards the relative. You don't even know them. Right? Like Margie's sister, she just passed away, and some of you have expressed concern towards her, and we appreciate that. But and I'm not saying anything, this is not wrong. I'm just saying this is the extent of where we can go humanly. See? You have sympathy towards Margie, but not her sister because you didn't know her. See? We got to get to like each other. What does that mean? Lunch, dinner, something. Let's get together. Like when Eddie first started coming to church, I said, hey, let's go for a ride. Because it's a way that we can relate. Being a guy that likes to ride a motorcycle a lot, that's a good way for me to relate to him. See? Find a way to relate. How can we get together? Amen? God is going to grow this church. Some of it is going to be in spite of us. But God's good like that. Okay? But mostly it's because of us. Because of us. Amen? Let's all stand. I've gone long enough. Kenny's going to have to split this message into 3 parts instead of 2. But I just